Somebody second this?
28
I'll
or
second it.
14?
Is there
14.
anything, if you've read through them, if you, anyone finds
Are you
anything
gonna
you
take
need to
notes?
convert, or any problems?
Oh, did I state that wrong? 20? I'm sorry, 28 March.
Yeah.
Very good,
Take a minute to run through them before we take a vote on it, guys, in case
Yeah.
somebody finds something they don't agree with.
Well, look at, one of these is dated 14.
The most recent one is
Is 28?
dated 28.
Okay,
It's a
okay.
correct date, the
Okay.
one that I printed, I believe. I saw the error before.
Is there anything you wanna change before we vote on it, guys?
Mhm.
And if there's no discussion on it, then let's make a motion to pass. So it is motion, everybody in favor?
Alright,
Yeah, anyone opposed? Nope. Off we go.
So I have a formal amendment to the agenda because it has to do with making sure that we're in compliance with ARPA. We need to put on the agenda a motion to take the standard allowance approach of the FEMA, of the ARPA funding versus the completing a full revenue loss calculation. And we had talked about this earlier, but what happened is that the standard allowance is now an option so that it provides much more flexibility, and we don't have to do a huge calculation every time we want to make an expenditure. So.
So what, you need a motion?
I
Can you
need,
record it in
I
the
need
minutes?
first a motion to amend the agenda to include, an ARPA discussion about standard allowance.
I make a motion, we amend the motion to include ARPA discussion.
Somebody second it?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Then we make a motion that we have a standard,
Yeah, move to take the standard allowance approach to ARPA funding versus completing a full revenue loss calculation.
So what exactly does that mean, so we all
So
understand?
that
what
means, so that means that recipients will make a one-time decision that they want to use this funding in any way that is needed to cover the losses that you occurred during COVID. And the losses that occurred during COVID originally, before they had this option, were supposed to be calculated through this 5-page spreadsheet. But now, as long as, with the new rules that were passed in February, this allowance, excuse me, I have a really hard time breathing in these, and I had COVID, so I don't wanna, I'm gonna just do this. Okay, so with the one-time allowance, this assumes up to $10 million, that if you lost up to $10 million, you can just assume that as covering your losses.
Right, we're gonna assume the $500,000 we're getting is flat rate, better than,
So you don't have,
Calculator.
you don't have to every quarter put in some kind of report, is that?
We have an annual report, one is due at the end of this month, which I'm working on, and there will be one next year and following year. In this case, before we use the funding, we can decide that we don't need to do the calculation of, we'd have to go back and look at all of the things that we think might have been lost in terms of funding during the 2020 COVID.
Yeah.
So in this case, we don't have to do that formula, they're just assuming that the amount is required is in this amount.
Then we still have the discretion of like the
Yeah.
water meters, that,
More discretion,
yeah,
actually, yeah.
makes sense to me. So,
we need a motion to.
I made a
use
motion.
Standard,
To take the standard allowance approach to ARPA funding.
standard allowance.
did you someone second that?
Ron did.
Ron did? Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Anyone opposed? Nope. Off to go.
So Randy is here.
Hey. Diane?
I
Yep.
just go right ahead. I actually, I don't even know that I did make some photocopies of some of that paperwork that you
Yep.
discussed with me. So if you need anything, just let me know, cause I know I have it in here.
Well, that project, you guys are aware how deep that is, 20+ feet to the bottom.
Well, now we're talking North Road?
North Road, Danny and Robert.
Yeah.
The 6 foot that's in there now on the outlet, there's only about 1.5 feet on each side, then there's ledge.
How high? Would you guess?
4 feet there, maybe, 3 to 4. So if you go on the inlet, ledge is right at the surface. So I gave you guys 3 alternatives. I think you, when talking with Tom and Morris, you guys wanted to go with a concrete structure. So initially I was thinking, because of the ledge, if you go with a box, you've got the foot thickness in the bottom plus your fish passage weirs that keep the material in the structure. So you get about 18 inches of material. If you go with the box, you're gonna have to blast down below that. So I was thinking, well, that's gonna cost more money because you're gonna blast that material, get it out of there, regrade it with fine material to set the structure on. Well, I was thinking, let's go with the 3-sided because you can pour footings full length on the existing ledge.
If the ledge is the right grade.
But you can pour those fittings as thick as you wanted to and level it.
Yeah.
And put that structure level. It brings the structure up, but you're not blasting as much, just level. So I was thinking that was a good idea until I did a little more research. I talked to Camp, they just barely designed a 14-foot wide, 3-sided box with footings. Well, those footings are 6 foot 10 inches wide, 2 foot thick minimum. They're gonna be doweled every foot with a special dowel, 2 foot. On top of that, they have another, they call it a pedestal key, 2 foot wide with a 14-inch chamfer. So I just threw a price out on that, just thinking concrete's gonna be about, if you hire somebody to go and form that and do the dowels and everything, it's gonna be $600 cubic yard rebar. That comes out to 70,800
Just for the footings?
just for the footings. So that option may not be the right one. And I was thinking blast one side of the structure and move it over. Don't try to center in the existing spot and blast both sides.
Yeah.
Just do one side, move the structure over. Cheaper, easier. So I had some blasting costs. For that 3-sided, the blast would be about 10,500. For the box itself, the problem is you gotta go 3 feet deeper than what's there. On this one, you wouldn't have. But the blasting's only like 14.5 and some change.
To go down low enough, to have
Lower,
the box
get rid of the
low, so you
material.
get your water flow, your fishies and all.
Yeah, you gotta sink that structure at least 18 inches down
Yeah.
on ledge to get to existing invert elevation on the inlet end. You can't just set that box, you gotta sink it down below.
Do we have any idea where the ledge is going through? I mean, is it just a 10-foot spot at the,
No, you can see it on the surface on the inlet, so
yeah,
you're gonna have to blast there, and I think it's full length because on the outlet you can see it.
I haven't been to the outlet side.
And you don't know until you get down there, Who knows what's gonna be under there? I think they just made a path, put that round structure in, backfilled it, and off they went. Which, anyway, that's the right way to do it. But now they're calling for this 12-footer. That changes things. It's not gonna be a cheap project. I mean,
No matter how you did, if you went with that squash culvert or anything.
squash, you're still gonna have to do some blasting, or if the ledge is soft, a hammer on an excavator. But each one of these are time consuming on a highly used road, especially during farm time, cropping. It's gonna be a minimum of a 2-week closure, I suspect. Cause you gotta take 1,500 cubic yards out of there, put it somewhere, do all that bottom work. If you have to blast, you're gonna have to dig that ledge out, which I would recommend putting it on the outlet end,
Yeah.
and saving the rest for other projects, ditching or whatever.
Yeah.
And put all that back and compact it. So probably $10 a cubic yard to remove it, and 15 to put it back with the compaction. I mean, that's a good roundabout
Yeah.
number for estimating. And you don't know what you're gonna get into when you get down there, so that beautiful 3-sided box, which I thought would be the right way to go.
Yeah.
Now that's 70,000 plus, probably more this year. That's just a normal in-place construction cost. We could say 500, but I went with the 600 because of the dowels and the rebar.
Yeah.
And
I'm not a fan of the 3-sided.
the width of the footings amazed me. I mean, they just designed one and that's 6'10" on ledge. That's not just 6'10" on material you don't know what's underneath.
Yeah.
It's on ledge. That's what they recommend.
So it looks like the 4-sided is
I would
realistic. one
now
for us to
it's
be
looking that way, yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you're gonna have to overblast and put material back to get a
Yeah.
nice clean bottom before you set it. And I would recommend pouring your footings for your wing walls instead of trying to precast them. When you got ledge, you can't.
Yeah.
You may have to dowel those in, but that's kind of a minor cost, really.
In the grand scheme of it. it's not
Yeah.
a big deal.
It really is. I had it.
So the difference between the 3-sided and the 4-sided was about 26,000.
Different, yeah.
So,
But the wing
yeah,
walls,
but if you're not, but that doesn't include the 10,500 for blasting and all of the work that would need to
the
happen.
bedding,
Which is another
the digging out.
70,000. So
This-
it's still better to go with the 4-sided.
I think the 4-sided, the time probably won't be any different,
Yeah.
you know, as far as the time of the work, but it will be considerably
Well, it'll be
cheaper.
less on the 4-sided because you don't have to wait for the
Concrete
footing
does,
to cure.
minimum of 3 days.
Yeah.
You'll gain your strength in 3 days, so you could do it, but yeah.
What's your thought on going with the box versus a culvert? Are we crazy to spend the extra money?
I have something to say about that, actually, because the grant for this, expires, the project has to be completed by the end of next year. We could put in amended budget for this project and see if we can get more money.
I would try to get some engineering money on that.
Yeah.
Is that realistic that we might get some right?
Engineering money, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
What I would do in the future is try to get engineering money prior to the culvert money, get it
Okay.
designed, then get the, because you can get, I forget how much for engineering.
You get a lot better estimate after.
Yeah, and that'll cut down, I mean, my engineering cost is nothing, but
Right.
that's another recommendation I may have in the future too, or now, guys might wanna think about is Tyler Billingsley. For these type these are big projects. There's a fair amount of possible liability. Not so much for you or me, really, for what we're doing. But that guy, that's exactly what he does, is these large culverts. They're time consuming, and that gentleman does them every day,
Yeah.
4 towns. All these towns in this area hire him, and I spoke with him today. You've got 2 more culverts down there that are gonna have to be replaced here, so.
Yeah. Sometime.
So there's your engineering cost, that pays for him,
Yeah.
then construction costs later on the next round.
Yeah, I could submit a whole new budget and see how much they're willing to pay for the whole budget.
Yep.
Even though,
I mean, the grants now are what, max 225 or 175? So
225.
225. That's good, because this project's gonna be well over that.
But what's your thought? I mean, box versus culvert? I mean, are the new culverts gonna stand up as longer?
The one that we quoted was a poly coated, so they will stand up longer than what was there.
I mean, that one's put in 1961 or 2.
It's done well.
It's amazing.
I think it's because it's on ledge and fairly clean water.
Yeah.
But if you do a poly coated, you know, that may give it a 75-year. They hate to tell you because of what
Right, you don't know what the
soils,
environment is.
yeah,
It's gonna be
soils
dry.
and the water
Yeah. Going through it.
is different for each structure, each location. But it's a clean area and they want it buried, so you're gonna, buy this huge culvert and sink it down, you're still gonna have to, you're gonna have to blast for that too,
Yeah.
down at the bottom. Chris, maybe not, Chris
Right.
Morris, were you there the day we met with Chris?
Yeah.
Chris,
He was fine with not making a natural bottom, per se, because he didn't think there was any fish passage in there, or maybe amphibians, reptiles and whatnot. And that's what you'll use the ledge for, is on the outlet, so they can climb in and get up the pipe.
Yeah.
But he wasn't as critical as going as deep as A&R, or, the hydraulic folks, because of the location, and as his say, he's the one that.
He's the final one,
Perfect
isn't he?
skills, yeah, yeah. Super guy, he's
Yeah.
common sense.
Who was the other guy? Rivers, Barry Calhoun, did you ever deal with him much?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
I had a lot of fun with him one time. We were down up there with Ned Brennan.
Oh, yeah.
Remember how Ned wanted to blow up Sheldon, get it down lower?
Yeah.
And they did what I wanna say, simulation of 2 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet, in this federal guy there. And I played dumb, I looked at him and I said, damn Ned, what the hell are we gonna do with all those boxes of dynamites and caps we got? Well, that federal guy, that Kelvin said, don't listen to these fools. That federal guy, his eyes got that big.
So these struck, 3 of them, the next one up is gonna be in the same situation. I think you're gonna find ledge down there. Don't you?
so there's
Where's-
another application that we just put in, for another North Road blasting project, and it's almost exactly the same thing.
Ledge is not a
Yeah.
big deal, you drill it,
You drill it,
blast
blast
it,
it,
pop
or, these numbers came from Ledge Tech. I just asked.
Is that, Bakersfield?
Yeah. Colton, Boylan, and
Yeah.
me.
Say rocks, that's all you got is ledge.
So you're gonna blast or hammer, and I would say just blast it and dig it out.
Yeah. So our goal is to do this this summer, right?
No, I don't think
Next
you'll
year,
get it.
have it lined all up for next year.
I contacted Ireland and Camp, they're done building, they were done building 2 months ago.
So,
They're loaded solid.
so we need to get on top of this so we don't get behind another year, so we get ready whenever we
it.
need
We're
to.
better off to get our ducks in a row and
On
just
this one,
Yeah.
put it out to bid next, same thing, January next year.
Well, I'm thinking about, help me with I'm thinking about a motion that says we act to hire the engineering to do line up the 3 jobs right now. And try to get ready for, but if you're saying we should,
next year you're going to be able to put this culvert in, or you have to unless you get an
but
extension.
if we got 2 other ones, why don't we secure the engineering right now or get in a queue for 1, 2, and 3?
Well, I think what you wanna do is, Brian, is apply sort of straight grant for engineering itself. So that they cover quite a cost of it.
Okay, so step one for 3 or the first one, or what do you?
So I have, if we wanna put in another grant, it's due this Friday, so I just need to figure out with you, we're gonna have to put our heads together.
I think you would be well served getting Tyler Billings. He's got that, this is what
Where's he
he
out of?
does. He's out of Richmond, but he does a lot of work in this area. And I would try to get an estimate for the engineering costs for all 3, and he'll take care of that.
Okay.
He's,
And he probably could guide us a bit through going the process of getting the state to help kick in, right?
well, he will, I think. The reason I say it, that's what his business is. I am running around so much that I'm not gonna be able to give you the time necessary.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'd love to.
Did you say 3? I have 2 on my radar. North Road, there are 2 on North
Right
Road.
across, yeah, 3, the one up by Brandon's,
So,
the other side of Bruce's, that people, that's a 20-footer as well, 20-foot depth.
okay, so.
And I think the one in between that
One by
one,
Rob Morgan's house is what
That's
we're gonna have
the
to do sometime.
yeah, and that one I
Those
believe is
even
probably closer to
machine-
24-foot depth.
Yeah.
Put in the grant for. Yeah.
There's the one right after Parity Road is the one I put the
Yeah.
grant in.
Yeah, that's the third one.
That's the big one. Okay, so I have, okay.
So you're applying for a grant Friday?
By Friday. It'll have to be by Friday for just engineering costs of 3 culverts. I have the specs on 2 of them. I don't think I have any kind of information on the third one. So I have the parity one, and I have the one that, we already have the grant
Robbie and Danny's.
for. But you said that there was a third one, and you told me.
Morris and I looked at that one a while back. Do you remember?
No parity
The one right after,
one.
Parity.
Virginia.
Virginia's, yeah,
Yeah.
so she's saying just driving by Parity, Virginia's.
Past Parity Road.
Parity.
past parity,
Okay.
right? That's what I mean, I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know who lives there, but.
Without a hydraulic study, I think you can reduce the size from the one that is by Danny and Robert.
Okay.
It's gonna be an 8 or a 10 footer, and I explained that to her on how to
Yeah,
put that grant together.
yeah, yeah.
It's gonna be a similar cost, maybe a tiny bit cheaper because the structure should be a
Yeah.
tad smaller. It's gonna be a minimum of 8 and probably a 10 from past experience dealing with those type of structures.
Yeah, be interesting to see photos of that road before they ever built it up the sixties, wouldn't it? I
When
mean,
we
that
were
must have
down
been
there,
one of these deals, the whole thing.
Seems like it should.
when we did the survey on it, me, Morris, and I think Tom stopped, and Robert and Danny explained a lot of things that were there prior,
Yeah.
and they showed us pictures of
I was gonna say.
the stone structure. Impressive. He's got a picture on his phone of what it looked like prior to,
Huh.
it's pretty neat.
Okay.
So, the 3-sided, which I thought would have been cheaper than a 4-sided, will not be because of the footing scenario.
Yeah.
I think your 4-sided will be, but you're gonna have to blast and drop it, at least to the invert elevation to the top of it.
I like it because I think it's a far better structure, but, you know, cost-wise, sometimes you gotta get rid
And
of
the poly, you don't, I mean, we could,
Yeah, there's nothing
Revisit.
wrong with the poly.
yeah.
It really isn't. I mean, that one lasted how many years?
Right, so what's the trade-off between a box and a poly? Is it the same
No.
height required, or?
The same width requirement. The height is supposed to be like 5 feet on the structure, I believe.
I think it's.
But they
we're
make it go
going up,
bigger.
Yeah.
Is
to
that
go down.
crushed good for 20 feet?
Yeah, that's,
I'm just curious, I mean,
yeah.
maybe we ought to have the engineering done for you.
No, I went through, Steve Wolf, and he's the one that gave me that structure.
Okay,
The
I'll just,
different thickness.
Yep.
Yeah. So yes, it is good for that 20-foot depth, that structure. And you got, when you put them in, you've gotta put them in properly. You've got a chink underneath, sand and water, and compact. We've done a lot of those squash pipes.
But your recommendation is do the engineering.
It's not gonna be much, but yes. Yeah, I mean, I did a
Okay,
fair amount,
Yeah,
but
yeah, no, I got it.
these structures are very large on a FAS route.
it. Yeah.
I would recommend getting somebody like Tyler. I would ask him what his engineering costs would be on a 3, and I would ask Jim if you can put in 1 grant for 3 projects for engineering. And he may say, yes, no problem, and you should get that this year. And I can do that for you if you want. I can get hold of Jim and,
That would be great.
Yeah, it'd be great.
yeah,
It's
because
just moving.
it's, I mean, if you don't wanna go that route, we can put it in. I've got all the numbers, I can lay it out, put it in.
I think you've said it multiple times, I think you've recommended, let's try, yeah, let's do it.
if you have even a little bit of, if you come here and say, let's go have somebody look at it, let's have somebody look
Yeah,
at it.
I
okay,
think,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
you're
The
gonna
ol-
benefit.
The only question I have, I am pretty sure I don't have anything on the third, like I said, the third culvert. We have one grant.
I think somebody told me it was through a different organization. It wasn't, what, Better Back Road?
Yeah,
or-
that's one down to, Pat, or
Yes,
Bruce's,
yes.
right by the road. With Bethany.
Okay,
I sent information on that
That's
to
it.
you
you
did.
folks, yep.
Okay, I'll have to just.
Okay, so
I'll
just to
look
make
at
it
the
clear,
rest.
should we have a
I'll look
motion
for-
that says we're gonna, so you're gonna coordinate and we're gonna look for
And we get this in
an engineering,
So we
Great.
an engineering bid?
Randy and Kathy are gonna speak with Jim about
Yes.
applying for engineering grants.
I'll ask him if we need 1 grant for each structure, or if we do 1 grant for all 3 structures.
Yeah, whatever.
for engineering.
Yeah, whatever he recommends, sure.
And I can get a hold of Tyler and ask him what his typical cost is on that.
That'd be great.
He'll give us you know, to
So
cover.
did you make a motion on that, Brad?
I did.
Okay, Ron, you second?
Okay, do we need a motion? Okay, yep, make your motion, say what you want. What do we, just motion, is that they're gonna do that?
Yeah. Why don't we make it formal?
Okay,
You wanna read what you wrote down already?
yeah, I can't even read that. So motion by Brian is Randy and Kathy will check with Jim Coda about applying for engineering grants for Robin Dan's, Virginia's, and are we doing,
Bruce's, wasn't it? And the third one?
Well,
or is that going
No,
for back roads?
no.
Let's do those two. Let's get our ducks in a row.
But Better Back Roads, I think that's the program. They've got 2 different ones. They're probably gonna require engineering on that one as well.
Yeah, so if we get this for those 3 projects, then it doesn't matter if it's coming from one pot of money or another, it
Right.
really just has to do with the
That's true.
engineering of this one strip of road.
Okay, so Randy and Kathy are gonna check with Jim about applying for engineering grants for Robin Dan's culvert and Virginia's culvert projects.
I will do
Makes
that
sense.
tomorrow.
Great.
I lost the part of the bit of the third project. I mean, if it's a different bucket, but if it's the same guy doing the work.
Right, can we apply, have him do all 3 of the?
Yeah, I mean, even if it's itemized, just so engineering for 1, engineering for 2, engineering, but we wanna get this stuff going.
Yeah, you
So-
can. You can
Yeah.
get the grant for engineering, but you don't necessarily have to get the money from the structures grant to do the project.
Right.
Get the
Okay, well,
engineering
let's-
done if the funding comes.
Let's
from the-
include.
You're gonna check on all 3, how's that?
Yeah,
I will.
checking all 3.
Pat and Bruce. Okay,
And
So we have the motion written.
yep.
Did you, Ron, would you second it?
I second
Okay. Are we all in favor of this?
Aye.
Yeah. Nobody any opposed? Off we go then, that one.
So the other reason I'm saying this is because the permitting is getting way more difficult. They expect and require way more, and that's what we set up for.
Yeah, and you
That's
said
what
these
it
are
is.
big projects too. I mean, you spend a little engineering, just, you know, minimizes the exposure of the unknown when you start.
Yeah.
And I've done 20 of these.
Yeah, well, thanks for being, thanks for being candid, saying, hey, I need a little cross-check. That's a healthy, it's a really healthy
They
position.
all want to work together on this thing, so keep moving along on these things and get them done.
And I think if Jim Smith was here, he'd say the same thing.
Yeah.
Jim and I communicate.
And Jim was good about too, and keeping, or we used to, just trying to keep projects ahead. Remember that Better Back Roads thing every year, not every year, but many years, we get extra money, because we had the stuff already done, and some town would say, I can't do it this year. So then we'd see us later and say, you guys can you do this? Most of those projects, I remember, we added like riffraff on the roads for the ditches. We do go extra. They did 1,200 feet, we put an extra 500 feet with it, so the whole bill was done. And I think that's why they were giving them to us. And it's made an awful difference on these back roads, not washing yellow.
And I'll throw something else at you. I cannot fill Jim Smith's shoes.
Yeah.
Because Jim did this, that's what he did.
Yeah,
I got too much going on.
yeah. You know, only do so much.
Unfortunately.
Do so much.
Yeah. Between the sawmill, Jeff Corey, sugar,
Yeah.
some other items, I can't fill Jim's shoes. I can't be here when you guys, Jim was here.
Yeah.
And he took care of a lot of things. I just, unfortunately, I wish I could. I can't. I can't. And I've had that conversation with Morris and Kathy.
Well, let's
I'm
get
trying to
done
do
what
my
we can
best to
then.
help out. Unfortunately, I'm just not
Yeah.
there.
You got a couple hats you're
Yeah,
wearing.
yeah.
You're pretty good on an excavator too.
I can run it. I'm not an operator.
That's the best way though. They don't expect much when we break stuff.
I can get on every piece of equipment, but I'm not an operator. That's what I tell Jeff. He's like, well, I can't hear now. So I try to get in a hole usually, but I think then I was pretty crippled up still.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there any more we need discuss on this stuff tonight? Do you think we've covered ourselves?
I did talk to Rob and Dan, they're fine with it, so if you wanna get the easement drafted or wait till after engineering, but
Okay.
the ice has been broken there, good
If
work.
we can get the easements done, let's get them done with it
So
all the way.
we do have a, we have to put in a permit and they do need to sign the back of the permit before we put it in. I can't remember which one it is, but I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay, you get that in order and line them up.
Okay. So, do we have any more discussion on this project or tonight, or are we ready to keep moving? You'll get back to us right off, right?
Yeah, I will.
Are we just so I got this, are we missing any grant opportunities, but is this different from the 15 April thing, or?
So we have, well, there is a municipal highway grant application that you can put in for multiple projects. And they don't have to be, so if we put in an engineering grant for a class 2 roadway focused on just the engineering of 3 culverts, that's a separate grant than what we just put in, which is the construction costs of one of those culverts. And we have another grant from last year that we've already received the funding, or it's reimbursable, which is one of those culverts as well. So it can be different grants, it's just, it'll be 3 for.
Okay, so we've addressed, to the best of our ability, the North Road culvert situation. We got an engineering plan, and we got potentially 3. So there's nothing else we need to do North Road for now. I mean, we're not gonna miss out.
In terms of North Road, there's no other grant available right now.
Yeah, we're not missing, by deferring or whatever, we're not gonna miss out on any.
No,
Okay.
I don't see.
Okay.
They're good for 2 years. And I would suggest putting in for the engineering grants
Mhm.
and the structure.
And the structure. And then we also already have one structure grant, and that can be done by the end of this next year. And then the second one can be done by the end of the following year.
Okay.
And we'll have enough time to do the engineering. The other grant that, is the paving grant that we just put in, but, that's the same, same grant from last year, updated with
Okay, you want to start?
money.
That was to do part of Chester,
My bill
right?
is from
Oh, yeah.
And what was that gonna do, Mo? Was it gonna do from the corner up to Magnus?
I don't have it,
Hydraulics.
not yet. I think that's why I bought that Norwood, so I
Okay.
can add it whenever
Yeah.
I wanna try to manhandle until I can anymore.
Whereas worse
How many
than
more
that's up to Amsterdam.
That one's 23.
I think that's,
That's the worst.
Pretty
I've
good.
gone up this winter
Yeah,
when I was
sounds nice.
sugaring it.
And
Yeah,
the
we
reason
went
I bought
there,
it, you can
we
stop the
went over pretty
36
slow.
inch trees, about 29-inch wide fork. But now they've got a new one they just came out with, it's a little bit bigger, tad bit bigger.
Okay, so
So that's perfect.
do we have any other business to conduct with Randy when he's here? Anything you can think of, Randy, we should cover?
I wish I could be
Yeah.
more available,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
He says
Appreciate what you
this.
can do for us.
He says this, but you are available. You know, he'll call, from his truck, and you're always. I don't see you not being really supportive when something comes up.
Don't praise him too much, he'll raise his rates.
No, Jim is the one that put me in the position, and I thought I was gonna be able to, I can't leave Jeff hanging.
Yeah.
He treats me way too good to,
No, we wanna, whatever you can do to help us, we greatly appreciate it.
well, and
And
the
what you
smaller
got,
stuff
you
for
got-
sure, and I can
Yeah.
line up a lot.
And you can line things up that we don't know about.
And
That's why I
Tyler,
like-
I spoke with him today, I spoke with him last week, I gave him other work,
Yeah,
like the town of Sheldon.
yeah,
I won't work in the same town that I live in.
yeah.
I tried
Smart
that,
move.
it doesn't work. There's too many.
Smart move.
But, he's a good guy, he's really, I think you're gonna like him, he's
Good.
He's good, and I wouldn't recommend somebody that I didn't trust.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Randy.
Okay.
Appreciate all your efforts.
Thank you.
thank you, Randy.
Good to see you, Randy.
Nice to meet
Yeah.
you finally.
Yeah.
We'll go home, make some more of that syrup. Well,
I gotta go to Jeff's right now, actually, then I'm gonna go home and see what my son did. I recommended to, shut the vacuum pumps off, and I don't think he listened.
I tell you, the way it was coming in up at my mother's place tonight, I wouldn't shut it off.
You know how I fixed that on Friday?
John Hurry.
My brother said he shut the pump off, it wasn't really running, so I
I
moved the
worked
snow.
all day with
We're
Eddie
down.
Wilson.
I'm not turning it back on.
Well,
So he
no,
said around 4. And
I don't know either, my pump doesn't shut off.
There's that much in the tank.
It does shut off, I am.
Well, that's kinda what I told him. He was thinking, well, it'll freeze and rain, we'll turn it back on. I said, no.
If it
That's
turns, if it
done.
metabolizes, I will, because I can't stand the smell of metabolized. Thank you.
See you, Randy.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate all your work. So Mo, I guess we'll put you up next and move this along because we don't have some visitors that were gonna come.
They were going to come, but they have COVID, so they're not.
Oh, well, yeah, keep
It's
them out
going
there.
around. What was that?
Again?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
John has it again?
it's going around, yeah.
Speaking of COVID,
I've had it twice now too.
Linda, you make those things, I tell you, want to pass those around, but.
I think they were COVID.
These are
related.
only for everybody but you.
It's easier now we don't have
Sorry about
Charlie here.
Maybe half down, but I don't.
Yeah.
What are you guys hauling up the hill today, Mo? What were you hauling up the hill today? Blacktop? Where'd you put that?
Duffy, Ryder Road.
Straight blacktop or mixed
Is
it
that,
down?
no, it's crushed, the crushed,
Right.
yeah.
Have you used it
Terrible.
before?
They're really good.
Need one?
So you
No,
can,
thank you.
if you
I've
think-
adjusted.
You dump it thin anyway,
okay.
so you're mixing it when you bring it, so.
I put some down one day and then poof, we couldn't finish it. You couldn't grade it. We got back to it.
We did a, Ryan, Vernon from.
Yep.
We had to put gravel, mix some gravel.
Yeah. Well, we came over Duffy Hill
Ted?
this afternoon with Eddie and his truck and his trailer and then we stopped for supper and it's, it's nice and smooth.
For a few days.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you got for us, Mo?
We don't have nothing really.
You're happy? Well, that's
Iron happy, yeah?
all- that's what counts for.
Yeah.
Do you want a cookie?
No big problems, nothing major or anything?
No, no, the 2020 went down, got a sensor put in it. They were 2 weeks behind, or 2 weeks out, whatever. But you got it in there, so it's all good.
Yeah, it's good. What's his name? Sandy there, how that truck's coming along?
Yeah, it's all on schedule, June.
Oh, good.
Supposed to go back to you about Mike Berry as a Viking guy. You heard nothing there. Yeah, as I talked to him, he said they were, they're actually waiting for trucks.
Oh, Viking?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll have some parts on hand? still?
They should.
Yeah.
We should have a bunch of them down right now, they can. Whatever.
Yeah.
We'll be June. Still in June, or be here in June. It'll be May, mid-June. That's right.
Right.
He said Western Stars are behind, but the freight liners are, they're on schedule. So it's good to hear.
Yes.
With trade-in, was that like 187K?
Trade-in, less now, right?
Yeah. it was
No,
less-
but which trade-in was the net cost to us was like 180?
So the $157,000
Wasn't
trade, there's $50,000 for the truck, and I think the new truck was due like 205.
Yeah.
it's like 155 or something.
Yeah, I was thinking 155, 160.
That's,
so-
So just for the board's thought is, that'd be a good way to burn some ARPA funds, as opposed to financing and, or at least we could think about it. We defer that as subject, but
Yeah.
to next meeting or something.
I think
June.
ARPA funds you better use them for is like these culvert projects. In my mind, trucks we're going to constantly do, we're on budget.
Yes,
But these things here are one shot. In my mind, I mean, we've kind of.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion, just
I
like,
don't either, I just think.
like financing,
That's
some,
the-
if
So
we don't
this is
finance,
range number
Right.
that's
four,
4%,
so
you know,
this is
that's-
range number 2, but it equals the 3.
but I don't wanna get kicked out. I just was wondering if there was a reason we couldn't do it.
We could get that culvert down to St. Rocks, when we spent the bottom,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be a bridge.
They want, they're in St. Rocks, right in the village. That one there, the states, they're big, they don't want a culvert, a box culvert or anything, they want a
You don't
bridge.
make it big enough for that,
Yeah,
cause of the span of it. And, I gotta get hold of Bethany, get working on that, because I talked to Jim Coda. Jim Coda said they could help you a lot with getting federal money.
for that
Yeah,
bridge.
yeah, they could pay, you might end up paying 5% of the bridge.
We
Yeah.
actually still, we haven't utilized all of the money that we have for working with them on the interlocking, all of the, what is it called? I'm sorry, my words. The hydrologically connected segments of roads. We did an inventory of all of them. We've only used, I think, 2/3 of that money, so we could engage them in this project and have them work on.
We gotta, listen, this is big
I'm
project.
saying
The
we
last
should,
big bridge we did, well, other than over here, was on Wanzer Road, and that was a big deal. They were going to bridge in the backpack, they were calling it. And when they got all done with their foolishness, it'd been cheaper if we'd had Artie St. John's come in and put a conventional bridge on that Wanzer Brook Road.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. Artie told me, he said, I'd done that for about 600 something thousand. They had over a million at the time they get done. Yeah. That was they ate most of that, and it was guaranteed if it didn't work the way they suggested, they'd pay replacement cost.
Wow.
Yeah. Because that was a big thing they were pushing for a while, this bridge, they were calling it bridge in the backpack. That's what they,
just a precast, pre-stressed.
yeah, pretty much. But they went way over on that thing, so that was, you don't hear much about that thing anymore, that kind of bridge.
So should we be pushing on that St. Rocks Bridge, I mean, with all the federal
I would
stupid
think
money
any of
right
this stuff
now?
we're gonna do, at least get ourselves, I'm thinking, when we get ourselves in place, that we're on the list and getting the engineering stuff ready to go, and if they have extra money they don't use, that, hey, guess what, we got a place for it, and we get the engineering done, hydraulic, I think the hydraulic study's been done already, hasn't it, Mo?
No,
Yeah.
I don't think it had,
Yeah.
but, Chris Burnell, he's the one who came when we had trouble
Yeah,
with the cement that bottom, and he said at that time, him and Jim Smith both said it'd be a bridge,
Yeah.
it'd be a bridge here, just because of the
but
width.
with all the money they're giving out for all the random stuff.
Right, now's the time to have your wish list ready to.
So it would make a lot of sense for all of you to think about putting together just a plan for using ARPA funds for the engineering, just the engineering. The thing that we can't do, and one of the things that I've read a lot about is we can't match federal funds with federal funds. So for
Yeah.
example, the Juera Road, that's FEMA, we can't match that project
Right,
using
but
ARPA. But
bridges
other-
and roads,
other-
there should be other money
other
available
projects.
right now. I'd like to save ARPA for stuff that they're not gonna pay for otherwise. if we
Well, I mean,
can.
like these water meters,
Yeah.
the helping out with that water project in East Fairfield, that building.
Right, but that bridge, I mean, with all the ARPA and building.
So what do
money
we,
that's-
so we don't lose that the train of thought, what do we need to move that forward, like engineering? Do we need a motion that says we're gonna hire an engineer? And what do we need to address that, start that?
I don't know, I gotta talk to Bethany. 'Cause Jim-
So Bethany is better built,
What is,
better,
what is
she's
she,
regional planning?
Yeah,
Regional planning
Yeah.
commission,
that's what
Yeah.
I said.
and she's the
Would
one
this
who's
be a part of that? I mean, is that under her? Why do you gotta talk to her? What's,
And
what
Jim
would she?
Jim Coda told me to talk to her, and told him about that culvert, and he said, yeah, remember that. And he told me to talk to her, I ain't done it yet.
So all of the hydrologically connected segments have high priority, low priority, or medium priority. And Bethany is part of, we're still, we have funds available if she were to look for grants for this project, or help us identify engineers or things like that, if it's a segment of road that's already a part of her discussion with us. So it would make sense for you to just do that project with her, this brainstorm and see what it would.
So at the next meeting, we have that on our agenda, so we don't lose track of it ourselves,
Right.
that's on the next agenda about that, which is St. Roch, so we
Let's put,
stay on top of it.
let's just put it, yeah, exactly, put it on the agenda, just
Yeah.
to keep
Then
bringing
we
it up.
don't think, well, this, no, it didn't, let's know
So,
what we're doing.
so as a to-do for you guys, you're gonna talk to Bethany,
Yes,
and you're gonna dig in while you're working on these other grants.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
gonna see what kind of money is available for any municipal grants, whether it's federal, state.
I'm keeping up on that, and
I'd like to make a motion that the state St. Roch's Bridge be prioritized in order to leverage whatever federal funds may be available, and we can review it at our next meeting.
Yeah, I don't think we need a motion, but I think. you
I
got-
made a motion.
No, and I'm just offering a counterpoint.
Yeah, no, I know.
That-
But you can do that when we get it in a second?
I guess say that again.
No,
I get what you're saying.
I don't wanna lose this one. I mean, it's,
So we directed it though to be on our agenda for the next meeting, so it should appear no matter what, right?
okay.
As long as our secretary nods her head and says yes,
Yeah.
it'll show up on our agenda.
Nod and smile.
it's already done.
Yeah, so we know,
Okay,
and keep it on our agenda till we
Yep.
truly get information about it.
Right.
Yep.
So that one of those
That makes
items that
sense,
doesn't
yeah.
slide off, it just stays and stays to, okay, we've got factual information, all the requirements
Yep.
necessary met.
And this is where we gotta lean on Mo and Kathy.
Yeah,
You guys gotta,
That's the
if you need something, call one of us to follow up with something or go meet with you, but
I think that the Transportation Advisory Committee is prioritizing roads right now too. I mean, bridges right now.
yeah, Cheshire, I think it was.
what's wrong with that bridge?
Might be a little.
and that Parity Bridge, that's on that list and up there,
It
right?
is, yeah. And I actually have a survey to
David, there are more of these
to get to them
Yep.
about how
It's just
the road is being used, so that they can move forward with making plans. I want to give a little caveat to this. I did run out of time and they're not in alphabetical order, so when you look through it, it's gonna be kind of, it's not as pretty as it usually is.
Okay, so, we're all set on that. Mo, do you have anything else you'd like to talk or bring up before we move on?
No.
Okay, Kathy, what do you got for us?
Well,
Or just meant Linda, are you in a hurry to get home? or-
she doesn't. I mean,
I haven't had dinner.
Wah.
Well, that saves you from going to the gym and working out.
I already worked out. That's the
Well,
problem.
okay, what do you got, Linda, why don't we go with you
yeah,
first?
that makes sense.
Executive session, please.
We'll wait till the end.
Okay, does
You wanna
someone,
wait to the end and do Kathy first?
Well,
Do you have a law, Kathy?
I do, I think it
You
makes
don't
sense.
need me
for-
to.
No, you go home, Mo. Thanks for coming, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mo.
see you, Mo.
Yeah,
Be safe.
I would like to.
An
so,
executive session to.
so, for what? We gotta have something done,
Oh, personnel.
personnel,
Discuss.
okay?
To include any staff? Did you want me to stay or go?
It's fine. Just the cameras need to be off.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel.
Somebody second it?
I'll second.
Okay.
Aye.
Ron, will you second that since you, Brian,
No, I've had mine.
and the result, and then you gotta state what the result of your thing was, cause we are making the decision.
Okay, the result of our executive session was that we're gonna look into replacing a couple of members of, what's the name of one, Melissa?
Regional planning.
Regional
We're
planning.
gonna look for we're gonna look for volunteers to go on regional planning. And that volunteer will also serve on a subcommittee of which, whoever that person would choose.
So,
Got it.
and then do you wanna go into discussion about assessor?
Yeah, so right now, basically, we have to get the work done, the new, builds, sketches need to be put in for this year. Next year, it's not gonna be an issue, cause part of Nemrick's contract is they're gonna do all the building permits for next year. So next year, we'll be all set. When Nemrick takes over and their system as of April 1st next year, all the new construction will be in, we'll be ready to go. So basically for 2024, unless all of a sudden we get people interested in being listers and training and being able to do the work, that's when we would have to do an article on town meeting to have the select board appoint a lister, assessor in lieu of a lister. It did go out on Facebook, we still haven't, I don't think nobody's expressed any interest. So, for it to, be on the warning next year at town meeting, and then basically next year is a pass, we're all set for next year. This year we gotta get the new stuff in, I'm lining it all up for James, hopefully he can come in and sketch it in, I'm getting, you know, as much information for him to make it as easy as possible to get all the information in. And next year, we're paying for it, it's basically to get us at town meeting next year, get us set for the following year. And, right now, our neighboring town does not have a lister. So it's an issue.
Yeah.
So it's getting a bid from Nemrick, it's getting a, you know, or finding somebody that could do it for multiple towns to make it a part-time job.
Right, if you could work with
That's
other
what
towns.
Sheldon wants to,
They want
to get
to,
together.
they really want to, however, we're 2 years, you know, we're 2024, you know, away from, you know. So they're on the Nemrick program, we're not there yet. So this is something that would work well for both towns when we get to the same program as them. But they're really struggling, and the gentleman that's doing it, the assessor, he's an elderly gentleman. It's not like he's wanting to do it forever. He's, you know, so he's helping them out, but there is a lot to the position. Right now, there's current use to work on. Every Monday, you do downloads from the state for who's applied for the homestead. And then anybody, there's a lot to it, especially this time of year. And getting everything maintained and up and running for the, you know, grand list to be complete. So, you really do need somebody in the office to take care of that stuff. The new builds and the sketching, that can get done at any point during the year. But there is a crunch right now to do the stuff that comes in on a weekly basis,
Okay,
so.
so this something we need to consider and be thinking about. There isn't a decision we gotta make tonight.
No, I kinda wanted to check with Jim Barlow about,
Yeah.
you know, because he is the go-to guy on that, and he writes the articles for the warnings, and so that's where we're on, that's how that has to come to pass. I mean, in the meantime, if somebody steps forward and is interested and wants to take off with it, we won't have to do that.
It's
It's a good time to ask about tax map.
What about them?
They're not updated apparently.
Well, what do you mean they're not updated? What's not?
Not updated,
It's like
like
January,
January
February,
names
March.
when properties change hands.
Not
Yeah,
immediately.
I know.
Right now,
Didn't we just have a discussion that we were paying a lot of money to have them updated?
they will be, I haven't sent the upload to do it.
Oh,
I'm waiting because of April 1st deadline, I'm waiting for everything to be in, the new builds and everything to be in, so
so that all ties together.
it all ties together.
So the tax maps don't get updated until all the other shit gets done, so you need somebody to do the other shit before, okay.
Yeah, it's a whole process. I mean, they're pretty close. I mean, there's some new owners on there, cause I did an update a few months ago. Who in particular did you not?
I don't remember, it came up at zoning that we were looking and it wasn't right.
Oh, if it's like one of the subdivisions, they're not, all the new maps, so what happens is, and this is, any Mylar that comes in from April 1st of last year to now, till April, in between, I usually take down to Cross, they scan them, email them to me, and then I send them to CAI. My contact at Cross is in Europe for 4 or 5 weeks, which I found out last week, when it was too late for me to get them, so, yeah,
Is it Peter? Or
Jane. Jane,
So call P. Garso and say I want it done.
who?
P. Garso.
He's the one that moved it now.
Yeah, well, usually because, she lives in, and she's always, she's always done it. So if there's a contact down there, I can drop them off and they'll scan them and email me to me, and I'd be glad to
works
do
in
it.
the office, does the same thing as,
Yeah,
yeah.
but the thing is
Don't
too,
let them hold you up.
it's a whole process, because there's the other piece, Melissa, if there's new houses on these subdivisions that are complete but not updated in the files, so I'd like it to go up as a complete part, if that makes sense to you.
I think so.
But it does hold up the whole process when things are not done as they come in.
Right.
Okay, so do you have anything more, Linda?
I think I've covered it all.
Do you have anything?
I
Kathy's
do,
gone?
I do. A couple things came up at the zoning meeting recently. We were having a discussion about Tom's new gravel pit. And sort of subsequent to that discussion, there were a number of townspeople complaining about East Fairfield traffic. A number of issues. The pavement on Mill Street is trashed in a big way. They're concerned about lack of dust control on our roads. They'd like to see a yield sign at the junction of Boot Hill and Lackland. They're very concerned about the hill by Aubie Morey's just climbing out of the village. They say that the road there narrows and that there's truck traffic and school buses and blind driveways, and that it's super dangerous and has been super dangerous for a long time, and we don't care about it. They claim that they have asked for it to be taken care of before. I don't recall ever hearing about that.
Who is that?
Dick Hale, Sonny Morey, Carol Scon, and I think the last one is Richard Neck, but I'm not sure.
And they came to the zoning board
They
meeting?
came to a zoning meeting because they were notified as abutters for the gravel pit application.
Oh.
And they were trying to tie it together, but there is no tie. The amount of traffic for the gravel pit doesn't change because one pit's closing, another one's opening. The traffic is pretty minimal and it's mostly our trucks. So that's kind of not the issue, but then it kind of blew into all these terrible traffic issues that they have and Mill Street's pavement being terrible.
That's why
So
we're
I
looking
told
at
them I would
paving,
bring it
right?
up to you and let you decide what you wanted to
So I
do.
think which one we pave first, because the other one going up New Street, that's rough.
Yeah, well, we were talking about paving Mill
Yeah.
and New Street already.
Yeah,
Is that gonna get done this year, or?
well, I think if, once we get some prices and stuff, that's what they were, when Mo brought them around,
Yeah.
that's what they were looking at.
Yeah.
But the
Okay.
other one seems simple enough, what was
If
it,
you
Blackwood?
approve, they want a yield sign at the junction of Boot Hill and Lackland, and they want a blind hill and blind drive warning sign at the top of the hill climbing out of the village by Aubie's.
so when they come off Bridge Street, is that what
Yeah,
they're
that's the
suggesting?
corner they're suggesting is a problem. Right, like just past Aub's driveway,
Yeah,
where the hill is blind, bridge comes up,
yeah,
and they say school buses come down and big trucks come down, and their contention was everyone who lives here knows, because it's narrow, it's a blind hill, we all know because we live here, But leaf peepers, people from out of town come to go to Metcalf Pond or whatever, and they're worried that there's gonna be a crash there, so.
But
I
as
think
we
he
speak, is
fixes
there,
it.
I was gonna say, as we speak, is there known crashes happening in?
Not to my knowledge, I
I
have
was thinking the
not.
same thing, I've not been aware of.
They contend that there have been many close calls that they've personally experienced.
Okay.
I,
Okay, so we'll
Have
take it
not.
under advisement. Next time, can you put it on the agenda? Talk to Mo about sign placement, what we need, what should be done up there.
yes,
Because we should have a
Yeah.
yield sign on a couple of those places.
Yeah.
But it's, we're not gonna just
okay.
discuss willy-nilly.
Question about, should we limit studded tires on the covered bridge?
In East Fairfield?
Yes. I said, to my knowledge, there's no requirement anywhere that you shouldn't drive studded tires
going.
on a covered bridge.
I don't think that's one I would get into right now.
And I had recently a complaint about David St. Pierre's yard. Health officer complaint, the person who lives down and across is concerned that, the amount of trash he's accumulating constitutes a public health hazard. When I did mail on Saturday, I looked and it is mostly construction trash, so I don't imagine it's drawing much in the way of, additional rodents or, like, it's not just
It's more,
tossed garbage.
it's more aesthetically
It's
unpleasing.
aesthetically unpleasing, extremely, so he's building, so he's got crap all over the place. So how would you like?
See you, Linda.
Okay, we'll take it.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Linda.
Would you like, I could just send him a letter that says, we've received a complaint and can you clean up?
Tidy up this place a bit, yeah.
Who are we, is it a public health hazard?
No.
Do we have a junkyard ordinance?
Mm,
And I'm not gonna tell somebody, because my yard looks like crap because it's full of logs.
your
No,
yard
you
doesn't
need to
look
go
anything
view
like
this.
his.
No, I get it, but
Yeah.
Have you driven by his house?
The other night, we pulled
tell
in,
you my last reading later.
our granddaughter was gonna stay in Cinder mailboxes, but we pulled into that place instead of the one across the road. Who's across the road? Somebody. Nice place, used to be Gil Messier's old place.
Yeah.
So we pulled in, I said, Cindy, I'm not letting this kid out here. And then I realized where we were. And I said, I think we read the wrong mailbox.
Yeah, it's
Went
just
back.
across.
But this is one of those things where, to me, I mean, you guys do what you want. He's not breaking any of our ordinances. I'm not gonna write him a letter that says clean it up, as much as I'd like to see it.
I
You
don't,
can, you can say that, you know, there's been complaints, you don't have to tell them to do it, they gotta do it. And they, if they don't take, you know, not take it on themselves, but.
Right, I don't think there's anything we can force, but
we do have a junkyard ordinance, but I don't think
I don't
that
think that
his
qualifies over
would
there. There's not a
qualify
lot of
as a
vehicles.
junkyard.
yeah, it's
He's
not.
got a lot of junk, but I don't think it can qualify as a junkyard, and it's not a public health hazard because it's not household garbage, it's mostly construction trash.
Yeah, is he built, I mean, I don't know anything
He's
about this.
building, my guess is like a garage or a shed or something.
Yeah,
So he has-
I'd say stay out of it for now. I mean, if he's building, that's my opinion. If he's in the process of building,
Yeah.
he's building.
The trash, just so you know, the trash accumulation is not just as a result of the building.
Okay, well,
But if he's not breaking any laws or any ordinance that we have on the books, I'm not writing a letter to somebody because he said, she said, and it made me mad. Because next thing you know, my neighbors.
That's why I didn't do it and I brought it to you.
Right, no,
I would
I-
agree.
Yeah, okay,
If
so
it
let's.
constituted a public health hazard, that would be
Yeah,
different.
so if you, yeah, if you see
In my
something, or
opinion,
they
I
bring something to our
don't think it
attention, it's a health
constitutes a
hazard,
health hazard.
then we'll go after it.
If
But that's
you're not
your-
worried as a health officer.
We're gonna
I am
move
not
on.
worried as a health officer.
Yeah.
I
Keep
have
going.
nothing else.
Yeah, that's it?
That is my
Thank you.
list.
thank you.
Did you wanna look at AP to the state? It's
No.
been signed by three.
No.
Okay.
I do want to make a motion to go with the AP, that we approve the additional payment in the amount of
Oh,
Oh, to,
the
Jonathan to finish up
payroll,
Yeah.
not
payroll.
yeah, and we agreed upon that the last time we met as a board. So, yeah, I have whatever it takes to make it go.
You wanna make a motion, Dee?
Yeah, that's, what
Do you
was
want
the
the
number,
number?
just so, because if the accountant or the auditors dig through, it'll be
Yeah.
one more thing,
$1,540.38.
Second. Yeah, Melissa?
Got it, thank you.
Second.
Second it, all in favor? Aye. Yep,
Got it.
okay.
Okay, so, a couple things. I'm not sure how much discussion you have about the annual financial plan on town highways each year, but each year we have to have this signed. I worked it out in the class 2 and class 3,
I gotta give
road
you school, I think.
calculations.
They
and,
can take a few more pounds.
included Jouer Road Bridge in here, and then was looking at the difference between the income and expenses and realized that we are gonna need to pull from, if we look at the difference between the income and expenses as compared to how much money we said that we needed to raise from the taxpayers, we will need to pull some money from the capital project CD. I understand that is where some of this happens when you have projects happening with like the Jouer Road Bridge, that is the rainy day fund for these things. So I just wanted to give you a chance to talk about that.
Did you say you've gotten some reimbursement from previous projects? This sometime recently, or
Not at this point. I'm pretty sure all of our projects are reimbursed.
fully reimbursed at this
At this
point?
point.
What
yeah.
about ARPA funds for that?
Well, I have to do the report and then we will get some more funds. I'm not sure what the deposit date was last year, but I assume it'll be the same.
We haven't expended any money on that Zoyer Bridge. You're advising us that it will be?
No, we have to make a plan. This is a document that goes to the V-Trans. And every year we tell them how much money the taxpayers have passed for our roads, how many miles if there's a calculation, how many miles of road our class.
That's where this number
2.
comes from, is miles times the rate they give us.
Right, this is the rate that they give us, and then this is the calculation with the mileage of each of the 3 categories. We have 2 categories.
Category 2 roads are the blacktop roads, right?
Right,
Gotcha.
Is there about 28 miles on there or something like that?
something like that.
28.8?
So, what we have passed as a budget includes the taxpayer cost. The revenue on that for the past budget also includes some of the highway funds, which is what this calculation gives us. So when we do the calculation to see how much money we have coming in from the taxpayers and how much money we have coming in from the Jouer Road, we haven't paid for anything yet, but when we have that project calculated in, we don't have enough money calculated in our in our taxes to cover the amount of money that's required to complete the Jouer Road Bridge. So my understanding is that in the past, and that would be the match. So my understanding is that in the past, we would use some of the,
That money is in the capital improvement fund or something in there.
right,
So that's what it was put in there for, just to
Right.
do the match on the bridge or whatever.
So what are you asking? Do we
I
have
just
to?
need to sign this for document
So
as it's
basically-
accurate and it has to go into V-Trans.
Right.
Okay, but are you asking for us, are you asking us of anything, or are you just saying?
I'm updating and I just need it signed, so I just wanted to let you have that discussion to just make sure that that
So
is.
this is V-Trans' way of checking, making sure that we're basically maintaining our roads,
Yeah.
capital budget
Yeah,
in place.
And we've already put money into a capital improvement fund.
Right, so we should look covered, so you
Yeah,
want us
so-
to sign this?
we need it to, yeah, I need it signed and I need to send it in.
Okay.
Another just piece of information is, that we need to figure out and sign is, the Communications Union District Legislative Body requires another year of nominations for primary and alternate seats on that commission, on that district.
Yeah.
I'm doing it, and I think that you're the alternate at this point. I find it very interesting, and I think it's good to have somebody there, works in the schedule.
We just got a brief in a regional plan, and they
They're
said,
fine.
you're gonna need any money from us? Nope. you know, for the town? No,
Nope.
we're all set.
Yeah.
And they,
They're pretty professional at it too.
yeah, they were really, I was really impressed.
It would be worth just going, they are public.
He said they're
meetings,
going to
you're
every,
welcome.
they say they're going to every,
Yeah,
do the whole town. I said,
Yeah.
and you got enough money to do it all? Yeah, we got enough money. It's gonna be like
Yeah.
$70 a month, less than Starlink, and
yeah.
I was impressed.
So we'll have to rely on the lowest rate that Consolidated's got, like 0.15 or some foolishness.
So, we just need to decide if you want us to still go, do you want to still sit on that as an alternate?
So that you both will attend. Do you need to be appointed by the board?
So you need to appoint us, and then this needs to be
I'll
signed.
make
and
a
I have to
motion,
sign
we
it.
appoint Kathy and
Second.
Ron to be our representatives to this, I can't remember the initials of it, but.
It's the Northwest Communications Meeting
Yeah.
Districts, the NWCD.
Somebody seconding that?
I second.
So I'll fill in your email and phone numbers after, but if you wanted to as clerk, are you still clerk?
Of course he is,
Yeah.
he's professional, he's our professional
Is
clerk
the
as we
professional
speak.
clerk?
Municipal clerk, I don't know, it's not fancy.
So we pass and take a motion on the
Right,
reappointment?
we just did.
Oh.
And
I
everybody's
didn't know
in
if we
favor of
voted.
it.
Okay.
We vote.
Yep.
Jouer Road update, all the property owner easements are signed except for the Oregon easement, with Lawrence, Harold, and Kevin Michael. It seems like having all three of them come in and to make the signature happen here is a challenge for them. And I would like to request, if it's possible.
Can't they just stop? They drive by sometimes a day.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure, they were frustrated because when I sent the letter and the original draft, which said draft on it, and the letter actually said, you need to contact us to make sure that we have the right wording, and then we'll get a final draft to you, they misunderstood that whole thing. They signed it outside of the building, brought it in, and it couldn't be.
Do what you, just go get it done.
So, this is what I'd like to request, because it needs to be, there needs to be a notary involved. And, Linda is that, I am not yet, it's in the mail, I'm not sure what's taking so long.
So Linda could attest all three, right?
She could attest to all three, she'd like to not go alone.
So have them stop and attest 3 times. It's not
I
a big
know.
deal.
I've called them, I've talked to them, they're not going to. Because they already came in once with the document and they did, but they had mishandled it, and that's not how we can go about this legally. So they feel that if we want them to sign,
So they're asking us to go track them down and have them sign it
pretty much,
with Linda?
pretty much. They're just not coming in, they're just not coming in. I'm not sure why they're not coming in.
I will have
You
them
want-
in.
you want it
I will,
as
this will be done. I'm done
They
dealing
will.
with this. They will be
Yeah.
in here this week. You will attest it 3 times.
Okay, perfect. So you'll talk to them?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
They're usually pretty reasonable.
Yeah, they're very reasonable.
But the other easements are all set, everybody's okay with it, we have some good conversations happening about this. The inspector bid process is underway, the bids will be collected from 4/6 to 4/20. That's the Wednesday before, it's 2 weeks, and it's the Wednesday before your select board meeting, so, the next select board meeting will have those to be opened.
That's for the engineering of the chair,
That's the inspector.
clerk of the work, yeah.
Yeah.
inspector, Okay.
Yep, the person who,
Do we need that on the agenda?
yes, for the next meeting, yeah. There was also an email we sent I sent to John Crock and CC'd, Tyler, to make sure that we're on track with archaeological I'm sorry, actually, I connected with FEMA and CC'd Tyler to make sure that we were on track with the FEMA, processing of our paperwork to see if we can get a number of how much they're committing to. They are still waiting for an archaeological dig result, and then Tyler connected with UVM to see where they are with that. So hopefully they're down in the mud this week, that's my hope. As soon as we have the results of that, I can send it to FEMA and we know how much money they'll reimburse us for. So that's where we're kind of at the pause with that project. Any questions about that project at this point?
So the expectation is they're literally gonna be, somebody from UVM is gonna be looking for arrowheads this week?
As soon as, the arrangement was that as soon as the ice was
Soil.
gone,
Right,
they actually are going, what they have to do is they take a special thing, they go way down into the earth with the pole, and it pulls up soil and
Mhm.
sediment, and they can see based on the color and the leveling, of that
okay,
in different places, if it's a likely place where they could find something or not.
okay.
So I know you had asked, and we already talked about the Chester A. Arthur paving grant is in. The North Road grant, I've been waiting on, the blasting number, so that project is going in tomorrow. Everything else is done now that I have blasting, it's right here. And in terms of grants, Pat Malone I found it, hold on a second. I found the Northern Borders Regional Commission State and Economic Infrastructure Development Program. Have you heard of this?
No.
No? Okay, it's Northern Border communities have the opportunity to apply for funding.
Excuse me, just, so before we go into that, so the grants, the two grants that we have that deadline, you're saying are all
They're
set?
all set.
Okay, that's
They're
really
all set.
important, that's,
Yeah.
that's very noteworthy.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for doing that.
You're welcome. So, and this grant is just an exploratory grant.
Is this something Pat was aware of?
I found it. It came to me and I don't even remember, I think in a regional planning newsletter, and I followed the links and found that there is an infrastructure development program grant that potentially could cover up to $350,000 of common school expenses if we wanted to go in the route of, I know that we had a $500,000 estimate for ADA accessibility. I have the beginning, I did have the energy audit. I finally got the energy audit language so that we can put out a bid to get somebody in for that. And I did some research on what we've already done in terms of, I think we had a mildew remediation piece of work that happened and just other things. I think that we're in a place where if we wanted to go for a big fat grant for that common school, we have what we need. I'm not
It's gonna
sure.
take a big fat grant.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is gonna be the golden ticket or
What's
not.
it called, Northern Vermont?
It's the Northern Borders Region Commission State and Economic Infrastructure Development Program. NBRC is the acronym. And the grant.
Print out the heading.
Yeah, I know, you have to have 3 pages to say
And
what
the
it is.
thought would be, that's weatherization and ADA and,
And any kind of structural things that haven't been completed yet. We did have a structural estimate a long time ago. I think early 2000s or late
Yeah, sounds
like
right.
1998 or
Yeah.
something. Some things have been done, other things haven't been done. We just need to update some of that. But I just want you to know that we have what we need to get a big fat grant. So Pat's working on looking at that particular one, but he's on the hunt for whatever we can find
Cool.
at this point.
that's great. So you would move that forward when you get to that point when you go out for the weatherization? And do we have an ADA bid or did we get a
We
solicit?
have an ADA, so there was some engineering that happened in 2000, I'm thinking 12, 14, that
That quantify the cost to do an ADA?
it's about $500,000.
So that would be like an ADA plus which you already have the documentation for, and then, maybe an inflation
So-
factor,
Mhm.
and then a weatherization, and then,
So you gotta figure out, is the building worth $850,000?
Yeah, that's the question, fundamentally. And there is
Is it used enough? Would it be used enough to put
Yeah.
that kind of money in the bill?
Well, let's go fishing.
I think that one of the sticklers for all of this is, from what I understand from reading through this grant, is that if they are upgrading or making sure that something is better, a building is improved, they do like to ask if it's an economic driver. So if there's something about improving it that will contribute to the local economy. And at the moment, we're not in a place where we're working with anybody who's making an economic driver
Well,
out of it. So,
that's a prerequisite for the,
it gets points, so it's all point based,
Yeah,
and
well,
that's
I mean-
a big part of it,
yeah, go forward.
yeah.
I mean, and then I'm sure Pat would be very knowledgeable of how to tee up the best application and be
Absolutely.
truthful and.
Yeah.
And Ron had some observation when we went through,
There's a lot of work to be done there.
Yeah, and Tori also gave me a list of his take on all of those details, the kind of like take up the carpet and put up some things and make sure that everything is there. So that's almost like,
Well, let's get the bids on the weatherization and let's go forward with putting together a package with
Yeah.
Pat's help and.
Yeah.
And then we, knowing that we're gonna have to make some decisions. But it would be helpful to say, here's X amount of money that could be used to, because if we don't have that, I think the thing just kind of limps along. It's
yeah, I
marginal.
agree.
Okay, you got anything more?
The pavilion grant. that's
Thanks for
going
doing
on-
that.
You're welcome, I'm happy to do it. The pavilion grant that's going down at the community center, I've established an appropriation, we've transferred their appropriation into, an additional, account. I've added an account called the FCCA Pavilion account. So their appropriation is in there along with $7,500 deposited from the Fairfield Community Center Association. So that's gonna get them up and started. I know that we are 3 weeks behind on the, I was gonna get you we have to do some, excuse me.
Our policies?
Yeah,
Policy
policies, I'm
review?
sorry, I'm in a place right now. The policies have to get done. I did work half as many hours last week as I should have.
Okay, so they're not,
Because I
yeah,
was sick
because
and
I
I'm
wanna
just
get out
not
of here.
there.
So you're
So
not,
it's not
you
quite
need to
there
bring
yet.
them to the next meeting, is that what you're saying?
Yes, so
Okay,
we're moving
perfect.
forward and it's coming along.
Good enough. Yeah.
And the other thing that's moving forward and coming along is, I I worked with the water districts on how to, for their engineering
Yeah.
program, to how they're gonna work with us within our finance policies.
Okay,
So I think that's it. We have,
okay. So let's get moving along, because I wanna get ahead of
Right.
this. It's been a long day. Common school use agreement, where are we on that thing?
All I gotta do is bring it in, I meant to bring it tonight, so
Next week, next
yeah,
meeting?
all we gotta do is sign it.
Okay, perfect. These new policies for grant compliance.
That's the pavilion one.
that's the pavilion one.
So, okay. And the computer system upgrades.
Okay, so the computer system upgrades, I understand you discussed in open meeting last time. I would prefer that we talk about this in executive session because the upgrades that we're suggesting are to strengthen our,
Okay, so what
Yeah.
we decided at the meeting was, I forget the gentleman's name.
Matt.
Matt.
We're
So-
just gonna have a conversation.
I've talked to him 3 times.
Okay.
I've met with him once. He's not able to come in tonight, but I also did call, I called 2 other municipalities, and I went to the VLCT website and looked at what they've done. And from what I understand from that research, everything that he has on that list is appropriate and the basic of what is happening. The VLCT had a survey last year that we didn't participate in, but the results of that were that everybody else is sort of in this place where we're kind of late to the bat at this point.
So I think what came up,
There was a question.
yeah, the question was, our budgeted amount was X,
Yeah,
and then the bid, which was in accordance with his initial bid, and then we were confronted with like a delta.
so what I did for you is, and I added a couple other lines which say total new costs and subtotal already expected and required. So what we have in our budget right now covers what we've already expected and is required by, just managing what we're doing. So it's Microsoft Suite and malware and other things that we already have subscriptions that need to continue. That money comes to, the amount of that that's already kind of set is $12,106. That was the estimate based on my research of last year and looking into the future of this year. The new expenses subtotal, the total new cost is $4,796. And the reason that number is different is because he had one option that was a 3-year security option and one was a 1-year security option, and I had accidentally added them both together. So it's how much of the actual concrete pieces of equipment and products for security that we need, plus the installation and equipment charge. So the combined total of what we need and what we already expected we needed is $16,902.
So 10,000 more than you.
$4,000 more.
So it's $4,796
So
is the new expenses.
It's only 2,000 more than the budget, right?
And it's $1,902 more than the budget.
Yeah.
So combined, what we already had in place and what he would, and what I believe we really do need,
Right.
is that $16,902. So I'm not sure.
So do you wanna proceed with them, get this done?
Sure.
Someone make a motion then? That we go, cause we're gonna have to cut
So the
somewhere out of the
I
budget.
do have a question though. It comes right out of that budget line.
Mhm.
The only amount that we don't have right now budgeted is $1,902. So do we put it into the general fund, but as an expense, or do we put it into ARPA funds or something else?
And this chews up all the technology budget, correct?
This is all the technology. It's based on what we did last year, what I expect for this year, and then the new piece.
So there's no new computers, there's no upgrades to anything,
Yeah,
no
there's-
printers, no.
Well, we can't actually add any computers at this time because we don't have the installation of the pieces of installed. Our
It sounds like you
capacity
need
is
to do one
maxed.
before you do the next one.
You can't actually add anything until we do this.
And can you take money out of ARPA funds to buy?
Yeah, you can.
computers?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say let's go with the budgeted amount and let's put,
Get that in place first.
yeah, and let's go with the delta and I make a motion that we use the delta amount, $1,907 from ARPA funds.
I'll second that.
Can you second that?
Yeah.
Is any disagreement on this?
Yeah.
So all in favor?
All right.
Anybody disagree? If you don't, just say no.
Nah, I'm not a big fan of it, cause it's stuff I don't understand, and not,
I don't know jack about it, so,
yeah. I'm not-
so I guess it looks like we're in favor of doing this. Okay, so what else we got left?
That's all
I've got one question, I guess we should ask when Noel's here. And that was on our minutes from the last meeting, and it was to get some bids on that tank, the chloride. Supposed to get 3 bids.
Yeah.
I wondered if Mo ever had the opportunity to do those, get the bids.
I haven't heard.
We should add that to our agenda if we can, just so we don't forget again.
Yeah.
We should make a habit of approving the minutes,
And then go
and
through.
before we talk to even Randy or whoever else, go through and see if there's something that we need to address. from
Sometimes
last
we
week.
didn't quite, it's easy to forget this stuff. It just
Yeah.
rolls by on you and you just say, oh, I thought we did this. Well, we did, we got in the part of it, but we didn't finish it. So,
But that'll keep us from dropping the
yep, hopefully.
bridge over there.
Yeah, good point.
And not at this meeting, if you're tired and wanna go, but, I do want to have an executive session to just talk about some of the, realities of being very ill when there's when there's payroll and AP that needs to get done and other things pending. I'm fine now, but I think it would warrant a discussion to talk about how we have a plan or a backup plan in terms of staffing, who does what if something tragic happens. Not that I'm a tragedy, but, just the reality.
Yeah, no, I think it's continuity,
So we don't
continuity
have
of
to-
government.
Yeah,
It's,
we don't need to do
yeah.
that today, but it is new insight for sure.
Sure.
Is there any other business?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
No, you gotta make a motion to approve the warrants.
And
Oh, I'm sorry. I
We
make a
done the
motion
minutes
to approve the
already.
warrants.
we did the minutes all
We
the
did the
time.
minutes.
All
In the
right.
beginning.
So everybody in favor of approving the warrants? Yep, okay. Other than that, you could adjourn now.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay, good enough.
All right,